Okay, in our previous videos, we learned how to create a Samsung account and log into the Knox portal, where we can then take advantage of the Knox Cloud services, and we can log into Knox Configure, we can log into Knox Mobile Enrollment, and in this video, we're going to focus on Knox Manage, particularly creating users in groups within Knox Manage. So, if you're not already there, log into the Knox Manage portal. I'll have a link in the description where you can click on it, or you can go and log in at samsungknox.com, and from there you can click on Launch Console for Knox Manage, and you'll get to the admin portal. So log in here and follow along as we create our users within groups, so that we can later create our profiles and get these devices enrolled. So let's go ahead and get logged in. All right, so when we get logged in, we get the new version release. We can skip that. You can also hit don't show again, but I'm just going to close this. We get the warning about our licenses. I am going to say don't warn me again today about this, so we'll just hit OK. So what we want to do now is we're going to create users, and we're going to create two groups. We're going to end up creating two users, and each one of them will go into its own group. So from the left hand side here, let's click devices and users, and let's go ahead and create our users first. We're going to go in and we'll hit users and organizations. And we're going to hit the plus sign. We're going to add a single user, and there's a couple of ways that we can add users. We can add users manually, we can sync via Active Directory, or we can upload a list of users. In this instance, I'm just going to create manual users, but if you do have Active Directory and you want integration for that, we'll have some videos on how to do that in a future release, or a future video, I should say. But today we're just going to focus on manually creating these two users for demo purposes. So my users are going to be called single app, because this is going to be for single app kiosk. Just fill this information out with whatever you want. Create a password. Know that for the users, we do have to create, we have to have special characters, numbers, and mixed case, so uppercase and lowercase. So it does have to be rather complex. So make sure you take care of that. It'll warn you if you don't do it, but yeah, go ahead and do that. And we want to leave this activation type set to organization, and I'll show you in a second how we set the organization to use Android Enterprise, since that's what we're going to be using. So go ahead and fill that information out, hit save. We now have a user. I'm going to do another user because I'm going to be using multi-app kiosk as well. So this one's going to be called multi-app. Whoops. Multi-app at. Again, special characters, numbers, and mixed case. We'll go ahead and save that. All right, so whenever we want to make changes to our organizations, we go here, devices and users and organizations, and we're going to see this this menu here that's contracted. If you hit this blue arrow, it's going to expand. This is the name of your company. This is your top level organization. For those of you that are managed service providers and you want to have different organizations, be it different customers, you can add sub-organizations. You do that by clicking this plus sign, and you can add sub-organizations here. And within those sub-organizations, you can have users and you can have groups, and those are isolated from the other organizations. But we're going to stick with one organization now, but we are going to hit modify. And then here we see the activation type, and what we want is Android Enterprise. So we'll hit that and hit save. All right, so now we have our users. We've set our activation type to Android Enterprise. Next thing we want to do is create groups. So I'm going to go over here. left hand side under groups, hit the plus sign, and there's various types of groups that you can create. You can sync your groups from Active Directory, which is very helpful, or you can create groups on your own. There's profile groups and there's general groups. This is a great example of something where I would suggest taking a look at the documentation, and you do that by going here to help, and this will open up the help tab or the help guide in a new tab. And from the search here, you can type in profile, for example, and it'll take you here to see all the different profiles you can create, and tell you a little bit more about them. For our case, we're going to go back here, hit the plus sign, and we're going to do a profile group. So we're going to select profile group. We have to give it a name. So I'm going to name this one single app. And you see here, we've got our users. These are all the users that we've got. And we can manually select these users that we've already created, or we can create a filter so that as users get added, they can automatically get added into this group. But for my case, I'm just going to manually select these users. So since I called this one single app, I'm going to choose my single app user. And then I hit update, and that brings them over here, and I'll hit save. It's asking me if I want to allocate a profile to this group. I'm going to say no, because I have another video coming, and I'll have a link to that video in the description for you guys to see as well. But that'll go into detail of creating the various profiles and assigning them to the group so that we can get the devices activated. But for now, I'm going to hit no. I'm going to do another group. So I'm going to hit the plus sign, I'm going to hit profile group, and this one, I'm going to call it multi-app. So I'll select multi-app again, update, save, and again, it's asking me if I want to allocate the profiles. I don't have any right now, so I can't do that. So I'm going to say no. So now you can see here that we have two groups, and each one has a member. We can see device management profiles and app management profiles. We don't have any right now, but once we get those added, we'll see what they are here. So that concludes this video. Pretty quick and easy way of adding users, organizations, and groups, sub-organizations, and groups, so that you can keep your Knox Manage instance organized and have some sort of logic on how you assign those profiles and get the devices created. Hope you found this video useful. Take a look at the links in the description, as we've got direct links to our other videos as we keep going with this series. Thanks. Okay, so we need to make one small correction to our users. When we created the users, we were unintentionally had the undefined organization selected. So when we created the users, they didn't get assigned to our parent organization. So what we need to do is come over here under devices and users and select undefined, and we'll see the two users we've created. If we click the checkbox up at the top, that'll select all of them. And then we're going to hit change organization, and we're going to select our parent organization. And now when we go over here, we'll see them here. If we would have tried to activate devices at that point, it would have failed because the devices were not assigned to our parent organization, which is the one we set with the Android Enterprise right here as the activation type. So let's just make that change. Once we do that, now we're ready to enroll the devices.